'Cause, I mean, because 'cause you're talking about innocence. Innocence can't last. Like, it's
Mhm.
impossible, especially now, especially in our fallen world. But forgiveness lasts. Redemption is eternal. And
Yeah. Forgiveness is the way back,
right.
and
Mm,
that they can base kind of a relationship on.
yeah.
Um,
Mm,
Creation, he also let's see here. I got so many little notes written all
okay.
over here.
Share
I
your
think
little
I
note.
think it's that, but he basically got them he got Eve to buy into, and maybe Adam too, that
Mhm,
God was holding out on him somehow.
mhm.
I mean, that's kind of the serpent's whole thing,
Right,
is God's holding out on you.
right.
If only you knew what's
What
in
I know,
you.
yeah.
Welcome everyone to Beers with Jesus. Todd's World. Todd's here, Gary's here.
Hello?
Check, check, check.
Check,
I think we're
check.
good.
Go flight. You know,
No, it's good. I like the beauty of it. There's
acceptable.
there's a lot of things I like about
Yeah.
it. You know what he said today? That
Hmm.
this just bugs me. And this
Oh,
I could hear this at any church.
okay.
And it isn't a big deal. It's
Mhm.
just he said, "Well, what's our purpose? What are we trying to do as Christians?"
Okay.
Well, what would your answer to that be?
What would mine be?
Yeah, what would yours be? He thought
Well,
everybody was on the same page.
I mean, we're supposed to be, like, creating more Christians is what
To
we're
get
supposed.
to heaven, that's what he said.
Well, yeah, I mean, yeah.
And I just thought, God, I hate that answer.
You hate
I
that.
don't think it's consistent. I don't think Jesus ever gave that answer. We're to know God. Like, the reason you take the
Mhm.
Eucharist every week isn't just in case you die this week. Like, it's for
Yeah,
here.
okay.
And the thing is, I know he knows that. What bugs me is playing into the tropes that make people think, "Oh, yeah, Catholics are just trying to work their way to heaven." I don't really think that's it, but I
Okay,
think it plays into it a little. Do you know
okay.
what I mean?
Yep, I hear
But
that.
that's a minor complaint. It's
Yeah.
and I could hear the same thing at any Protestant church or Baptist church or whatever,
Mhm.
and I would think the same thing. I think that's not it. I just that's not it.
Gotcha.
But again, that's a little. I understand we're dealing with whatever. They're trying to make it simple for people, make it easy, whatever. So
Yeah.
in his
I
way
I
of
was gonna
thinking,
say
I
you can
suppose that
boil it
works.
down to a couple main things, but okay.
But one of them is not going to heaven, at least not based on the Bible. That's all I think.
Okay.
And I'm not saying that there isn't an afterlife, just
We
Jesus
just
never presents it as that. Jesus presents it like when we start to follow him, we're entering into life right now. We're entering into the kingdom right now.
Mhm.
It doesn't begin when we get to do you understand what I mean? That's
Oh,
not
yeah,
that's not
yeah.
the goal.
Is okay, that's where you're
That's where I go with it,
is
and that's why it kinda bugs me is I just think, "Nah, I understand, it's a little quibble, and it's nothing that would, like, be
yeah.
the end of the world." I just it bugs me as much whatever church I hear it from.
It's nothing that's gonna fracture the whole church into
No,
2
no, 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 no.
churches.
I don't even think I think in the end, if we were talking and I said, "No, the purpose is to know God," John 17, I think he'd be like, "Well, yeah, that's right. You're right. But to know God, that is kinda well, whatever, I don't know, he'd probably go into something like that. You
Yep.
know what I mean?
Mhm.
And I'd say, "Nah, maybe." I
Did you
mean, I
stand up and throw
guess.
your hands up in the air? No, no.
I guess. I guess in a way, but anyway, other than that, no, pretty good, yeah. I thought it was pretty good. I thought his homily was good. I thought
Good.
I enjoy the readings. I enjoy there's a beauty to it that I like,
Yeah.
that I
It
just
is
think is
nice.
nice, that, and there's a focus. I will say this,
Mhm.
there's a focus on Jesus that maybe I feel like you don't get everywhere.
Well,
Um,
I was gonna say, and I think a lot of people outside the Catholic Church, this is not a Catholic podcast, by the way.
mm-mm.
Um,
I'm not a Catholic.
he is not a
My
Catholic.
daughter is,
I
though.
am, but we don't mean to harp on it. But no, just this is interesting. I'm glad to hear you say that because I think people outside the Catholic Church don't realize that, yeah, we actually focus on Jesus.
Yeah, I never would've I didn't think they would as much as but I bet there's
Mhm.
the way they structure the readings and the way the
Mhm.
songs are and the way that everything is well, I mean, I guess it makes sense. They're revolving everything around the wafer that they think is Jesus. So, I mean, it makes some sense, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
they're bowing and whatever to the altar, and so, I mean, they're consistent with it, but
Yep.
there is a focus on regardless of how you feel about the Eucharist, there's a focus on Jesus throughout,
Mhm.
you know what I mean, that I
Absolutely.
like.
And a
So,
reverence, yeah, I like
yeah,
it.
I do, I like
I like it.
there's a beauty to it, and there's a and when I said that to Lauren on the way home about I said, "You know, it's not getting out." She knew. She's like, "I know."
Yeah,
And I said, "It's not a huge deal, but, you know,
gotcha.
just something people say, pastors, priests say," and I think
Yeah,
that just it it's one of those things that are like little things
I
that
know
just
what you
happen to bug
mean.
me. You know what I mean?
Right, yeah, I
It's
understand.
nothing. We're not and I understand some people might think I'm splitting hairs a little. I don't think I am, but I just think let's focus because he's bringing it right down to here,
Mhm.
but you're not trying to earn your way to heaven. You're trying to live worthy of the life that you're already entered into.
Right.
Make sense?
Yeah,
And to the extent that's semantics, I guess maybe some people think it's
sure.
semantics, but
Could be.
anyway,
Okay,
that's my little like I said, overall pretty good. The other
good.
thing I don't like about Catholic Church is that I'm not supposed to bring my coffee in. That bugs me.
Oh, yeah.
I really want to bring my cup of coffee.
Do you know what's funny? I thought of that today. I was like, "I really wish that we could just have coffee in here." I
That's what I
thought of it.
was
I
thinking.
thought of it too. That's really funny. Oh, that's
But
good.
the things I really like, and this is gonna sound weird, I
Mhm.
like all the noise from all the kids. There's a
Oh,
familial aspect to it that I enjoy. That it's
okay.
weird. You wouldn't think you'd enjoy it. It could be distracting. It can be all these things,
Mhm.
but it's like we talked about last week. It's like I think that's the dirt of life that God's in. Do you
Right.
know what I mean? And so I
Mhm.
like that. I like that they've got these
That the kids
outreaches and
are
all these
there.
things, and they're just like they're kind of down in it. They're doing
Yeah.
schools, and it's real kind of community oriented, and so I do like that.
Real quick, were there first communion little kids there all dressed in white by any chance?
No, they said something
Okay.
about First Communion this week
Yeah, it's the first week of
for,
May
like, 2nd
usually.
graders maybe,
Uh-huh.
and then, like, something about 8th grade. I don't know. I don't understand it.
We used to see them the first weekend in May, first Sunday in May, but they actually must have too many because they did it yesterday morning apparently, and I'm like, "Oh, we didn't get to
Oh,
see
okay.
them because watching them all come in dressed up is so cute. Anyway,
Okay. Cool.
so,
So, anyway, guys, that's us.
big day
That was our
today.
church experience today. Now
Yep,
we're gonna dig into Genesis 3. What we do here on Beers with Jesus is we just walk through the story of the Bible. Last week, I thought was a great episode. I had some other people who really liked it.
good.
And I think that, you know, I don't know, what would you call it? It's like anything that you do.
Mhm,
Maybe if you're writing, I'm a writer,
mhm.
there's times where you write it and you think, "Man, we hit that somehow." Or if you're painting,
Sure.
or it could be anything that you're
It could be
doing.
anything. You're like, I really crushed it." You felt like we crushed it last week?
I
Or
just
just
felt like
you?
I felt like we hit it. I felt like we
Yeah.
found what I felt like is that we communicated at least whatever that refraction we were seeing off that one kind of piece of
Mhm.
God's eternalness. I felt like we communicated it at
Good.
least. You know what I
I
mean?
hope so.
And that it was at least a good seed, and I kind
Good.
of feel like this is kind of a part 2 because I kind of feel like we're dealing with we kind of talked a little bit about the fall last week with the trees, and now we're going to get into it this week. So
Yep.
we use the message because the message is the best. And by the way, we also do Wild Opinionated News Hour. That drops on Tuesday, so that would have dropped yesterday. And you can find links to books and everything else at toddsworld.net. So check us out there. Every Tuesday news hour, every Wednesday we do Beers with Jesus.
Perfect.
And that's kind of our weekly deal, guys. So they're different, but I feel like they fit. So for us, right?
They do.
Are you reading this week or am I? We're on Genesis 3. You reading, or do you want me to read? Are you still on the
I
injured
think
reserve list
I mean,
because of
I'll read did you read last time? I'll do
yeah, but I'm fine reading if you're still,
if it's no, if
Carrie
it's
has been struggling with some kind of a saliva gland issue.
I'm better, I'm
But
better.
that would be a problem if you're trying to read,
Yeah,
because
no,
if you
I'm doing alright, so I can read.
okay. All
And so
right.
where are we?
Genesis 3. I say we just do the whole thing.
Okay.
You got it in you?
I got it in me.
Can you read the whole chapter?
I haven't looked at how long it is.
Carrie the Catholic?
Oh, yeah, I got this. I could do this.
I think you'll be fine.
All right. Genesis chapter 3. You ready?
I'm ready.
All right. This here. The serpent was clever, more clever than any wild animal God had made. He spoke to the woman. Do I understand that God told you not to eat from any tree in the garden? The woman said to the serpent, Not at all. We can eat from the trees in the garden. It's only about the tree in the middle of the garden that God said, Don't eat from it. Don't even touch it, or you'll die. The serpent told the woman, You won't die. God knows that the moment you eat from that tree, you'll see what's really going on. You'll be just like God, knowing everything, ranging all the way from good to evil. When the woman saw that the tree looked like good eating and realized what she would get out of it, she'd know everything. She took and ate the fruit and then gave some to her husband, and he ate. Immediately, the two of them did see what's really going on, saw themselves naked. They sewed fig leaves together as makeshift clothes for themselves. When they heard the sound of God strolling in the garden in the evening breeze, the man and his wife hid in the trees of the garden, hid from God. God called to the man, Where are you? He said, I heard you in the garden and I was afraid because I was naked and I hid. God said, Who told you that you were naked? Did you eat from the tree I told you not to eat from? The man said, the woman you gave me as a companion. She gave me fruit from the tree, and yes, I ate it. God said to the woman, What is this that you've done? The serpent seduced me, she said, and I ate. God told the serpent, Because you've done this, you're cursed, cursed beyond all cattle and wild animals, cursed to slink on your belly and eat dirt all your life. I'm declaring war between you and the woman, between your offspring and hers. He'll wound your head, you'll wound his heel. He told the woman, I'll multiply your pains in childbirth. You'll give birth to your babies in pain. You'll want to please your husband, but he'll lord it over you. He told the man, Because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree that I commanded you not to eat from, don't eat from this tree. The very ground is cursed because of you. Getting food from the ground will be as painful as having babies is for your wife. You'll be working in pain all your life long. The ground will sprout thorns and weeds, and you'll get your food the hard way, planting and tilling and harvesting, sweating in the fields from dawn till dusk. Until you return to that ground yourself, dead and buried, you'll start out as dirt, you'll end up as dirt. The man known as Adam named his wife Eve because she was the mother of all the living. God made leather clothing for Adam and his wife and dressed them. God said, The man has become like one of us, capable of knowing everything, ranging from good to evil. What if he now should reach out and take fruit from the tree of life and eat and live forever? Never. This cannot happen. So God expelled them from the Garden of Eden and sent them to work the ground, the same dirt out of which they'd been made. He threw them out of the garden and stationed angel cherubim and a revolving sword of fire east of it, guarding the path to the tree of life.
Good job, Carrie.
Thanks.
Um, I was wondering about looking back. Let me
Hmm.
see here what we've got. Um, he did this and then we fail. I was looking at your moms. I was thinking of the people
Oh,
your mom and Daryl and
the
Andrew
retelling.
Alexander and Patrick. Yeah, just people's
Hmm.
summaries of it.
Hmm.
And I thought, yeah, I think we were all kind of on the same page that
Hmm.
God created. He put man, he creates this entire world for man. Last week we're talking about we kind of presented maybe a little different story. God's still creating, but God like in his workshop,
Hmm.
like creating the cardinal,
Oh,
right?
right.
One by one and bringing them to man and just delighting.
Hmm.
in man, man delighting in God's creation. You know, there's just
Mhm.
a relationship. Like God's there's a love between them
Yeah.
flowing. You know what I mean? And
Mhm.
then God creates woman, and then you've got this relationship between the man and the woman. And God's coming down and he's walking with them in the cool of the evening. Like they're just they're just spending time together.
Mhm.
God's spending time in his creation. Man is spending time with his God,
Mhm.
and he's just getting to know what I complained about earlier. That eternal life is to
Getting
know
to know
God. He's
is
getting to
to
know
know
God.
God.
He's experiencing eternal life.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And the and then that freaking crafty, clever serpent, man. What's he all about? God must have created him too. God must have created Satan too, right?
Mhm.
Without God, nothing was made that was made.
Right.
Um, what do you think? I mean, after what we talked about last week
Mhm.
and everything, then you see this serpent coming on.
Mhm.
Do you think the serpent kind of knew that Eve was the weak link? Do you think Eve was the weak link?
Um, I think it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
I do. I do. I don't and that's not because I'm a woman. I'm not all, like, offended that Eve is
No,
the
I know.
first one to screw up, but, people make jokes about that, but I just, I just think, he's described as clever. I think the thing that's interesting is, God knows what's best for us, and we, through our own interests and our lack of understanding, we think we know what's best for us. And what's interesting is knowing everything sounds like a good thing.
Mhm.
The serpent tells Eve, "You'll know everything. You'll know good from
Yeah.
evil." It's like I'm assuming that there was no knowledge of evil. She probably didn't even know what evil was. I'm kind of guessing that. They didn't even know
Well,
it.
that appears to be the
Right.
story,
So
I
they don't
think.
even know what evil is, but the idea of knowing everything sounds good. He makes it sound good. And we all think, more is more, but I think, imagine if there was like nothing, no evil presence whatsoever, no evil thoughts, no evil influences, nothing.
Well, obviously, there's evil influences. I
Yeah, I
know.
know, but you know what I mean? But they were, like,
Yeah.
unaware, blissfully unaware. It's kinda like little kids playing before they realize of all the dangers in the world. It's
Little
kind of
kids,
like that.
that's a good picture of it.
Mhm,
Because, Jesus tells us that if we're gonna come to him,
mhm,
if we're gonna enter the kingdom of God, we have to become like little children again. We have to be born again
mhm,
and have that kinda wonder of little kids.
mhm,
So, I feel like in every sense, God's trying to bring us back to Eden,
mhm,
but bring us back to Eden not quite, not as innocent. Well, not innocent, not bring us back to, in other words, we were first put in Eden and we were innocent.
okay, yep,
As we come back,
mhm,
we're not innocent,
right,
we're forgiven.
right. We're
And
redeemed.
we'll always,
Mhm,
I suspect we're always gonna remember that because
mhm,
that tree of life suddenly is gonna be Christ cross. It's just Christ, and
mhm,
it's just this
right.
continual giving, and I suspect that the saved and the redeemed will remember where they came from. Do
I
you know
think
what
you're
I
right.
mean?
Okay, so you were just saying the tree of life, and I just remembered that the gospel reading today is when Jesus said, "I am the way, the truth, and the life."
Yeah, I remember
And
that
it's
too.
like, so the tree of life, I mean, makes sense. I think that's
Back to
such a
Eden. He's the
beautiful,
way to
yeah.
what? He's the way to the kingdom of God. He's the
Mhm,
way back to Eden. I think both those things are the same thing.
mhm,
But it won't be Eden exactly like it was. It'll be a little different
mhm,
because again, we're not innocent now no any longer. We're forgiven, we're redeemed, we're transformed.
mhm.
You know what I mean? And so how will that be different? Well, I doubt we'll know till we get until we figure,
Right.
progressively as we get into it.
I mean, I
But
imagine too, another aspect of this is that in that state, so in the innocent state that Adam and Eve were in, and when we are transformed, like you said, I think that we will then see ourselves the way God sees us as
mhm,
his creation. And we don't see that. They were suddenly embarrassed and ashamed of their bodies.
yeah.
And it's like God doesn't view us that way, you know?
No, I thought it was interesting too, is the details of the temptation, because to some
Mhm.
extent, this is, I mean, it's the story of the original temptation,
Mhm.
but I think in being that, it's the story of all temptation.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Representative of, like, I mean,
Yeah,
it's like the
this is,
template. It's the template for
yes,
temptation.
perfect. That's what I think.
Mhm.
And it can look a lot different, and it can be applied differently, but I think in the end, most of it comes down to kind of what we see at play here. And
Mhm.
the first thing the serpent does is he draws her attention to the tree. In other words, it's part of the garden.
Yep.
She knows it's there. She knows she's not supposed to eat it. Now, God never said don't touch it, but it's not. God also told Adam, maybe Adam communicated it to Eve. And listen, if you were Adam and Eve, it's not unreasonable to think, don't even get by. Don't go touch it. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? We
Mhm.
can't eat the fruit. There's no reason to be over there fondling the fruit. Do you know
I
what I
think it
mean?
does. I think, well, at least in this translation, he does say not to touch it.
Well, no, Eve says that.
Right, but I think God said it earlier.
Oh, you do? Let's
I
look.
do, because I didn't remember that, and it stood out to me. Hold on,
See, the message just says you can eat from any tree in the garden except the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Don't eat from it. The moment you eat from that tree, you're dead.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Okay.
so there's a couple things that happen.
Mhm.
Um, he, the serpent comes for, first of all, I think it's Christian tradition that the serpent was in somehow representing or Satan, right? The the
Mhm.
the great adversary, I think
Right.
is it's how it's always been presented. Doesn't
Mhm.
exactly say that here. There's a couple times throughout the New Testament where it talks about that old snake, and it's referencing Satan.
Okay.
Um it's poetical usually, but still, I think generally tradition would have us believe that this was Satan's first tinkering, the first kinda wrench that he threw into God's plan creation, right?
Right.
So, what the snake does is he draws it to her first. So, first he wants her focusing on it, right?
Mhm. Right.
He wants her thinking about it, and he wants her attention focused on it, and whether you eat or touch or whatever, the point is he's got her attention shifted from Christ, from the tree of life,
Mhm.
to to being just like God.
Yep.
Like we talked about last week, independence.
Independence. Yep.
Dependence versus independence. And
Mhm.
then the snake broadens God's prohibitions. So not only is our attention drawn to the thing which God tells us that's not the door you want,
Mhm.
but
Right.
in addition to that, the devil Satan starts to tell us, listen, look at all that God's preventing you from. And he widens that out. Is it true God said you can't eat from any trees in the garden? That wasn't true at all. He knew that wasn't true. But that doesn't matter, because what he's trying to do is he's trying to take the prohibition and make it bigger and focus on the temptation. Does that make sense?
Do you think it's his way of making it seem smaller? Like, "Oh, no, 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 it's just this," and it
I
makes
do think
almost
that.
it's almost like she, in her own words, made it sound like a smaller thing.
Right. I think that's part of it.
That's interesting.
And I think
Like,
also
"Oh, it's just one tree."
it's
Mhm.
starting to he wants to get in right away and start to mess with the idea of God. God's just out to screw you. God just doesn't want
Yeah.
you to know what he knows. Now he's going to
Mhm.
get detailed on that, but it starts with, is he really not wanting you to eat anything in here? I mean, why the hell did he put you here?
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
and remember he was innocent, and you kinda go from there, but yeah, he narrows and he focuses that temptation,
Mhm.
and then you get this and he promises her something that I guess in a way is true when he says, "You'll be just like God." She realized what she'd get out of it.
Mhm.
She'd know everything. She'd be just like God. She would no longer have to depend on God, because what if God stopped doing it? What if he just decided to stop sustaining us one day?
Mhm.
Well, then we're dead. We're gone. Well, God already told you that's the way to death. You know what I mean? But
Right. I think
but we don't
too,
think that.
it's such a tiny line, but, saying that saying that she saw the tree and it looked like good eating, I
Mhm.
feel like that's such a small little piece of this thought process, but I feel like that we will so quickly justify, temptation. We'll
Oh, yeah.
justify like, "Oh, well, this we'll give a good well, this would be good because XYZ."
Mhm.
She's like, "Well, this tree looks good. How bad can it be? If it looks like it's good
Right.
eating, why would it be harmful?" And that's all
If a chick's
happening.
that hot, why wouldn't I bang her whether she's my wife or not? She looks like good eating. I
Exactly.
mean, that's the same temptation, right?
It is, and I was gonna say, it's the flip side of the independence. It's that just we it's there's always our brains are always trying to find a way. I think it's trying to pave the way for what we want.
Mhm.
So,
And
the flip
justify it.
the flip side of, "Oh, I can call the shots, I could be like God." Underneath it, it's like, "Oh, and besides, that tree looks good. It looks good."
I mean, I think it's the same. Like I said, I can see it. Um, Todd's rolled on that. We talked about Leaves the Blue Way, my memoir
Mhm,
last week, and we read a little section of it. Talked about the Grok review a little bit, but anyway, it's a good book. You should read it if you haven't.
mhm,
But part of my story was walking away from God for a while,
mhm.
and having a big torrid affair, and getting a divorce, and breaking up families, and a lot of relational kind of wreckage along the way. And if you'd asked me at the time, I kind of felt like I deserved it after he took my mom from me. Now
Mhm.
like I
Yeah.
didn't trust him after that because I didn't like the way things were going. And I thought,
Yep.
if my choice is to depend on your way or choose my own way, I'm going to do mine, because that's not working out. Because your way just leads to suffering. You know what I mean? And so
Right.
I think that temptation is the same. I think we
It
feel like
is.
we feel like I don't I'm not willing to go all in on total dependence, because maybe because God's hurt us. That's that rock of offense that Christ is on the front end sometimes.
Right. What's interesting is you were in a storm.
Mhm.
It's easy for us today in our lives to look and say, I deserve this because I've gone through this for the past whatever." And I think it's really easy for us to do that. I'm looking here like the weather's perfect. They're in paradise. So,
Mhm.
I mean, what is what is the real reason that these people who have everything, who've been given everything and everything is perfection around them, why would they still yearn for something that God said you shouldn't have?
Maybe the grass is always greener. How much of our life comes down to FOMO, fear of missing out, right?
Right.
You wonder sometimes. I actually
Sure.
wrote that on this. I thought, how much of this chapter is just FOMO? What's out there?
Yeah, right?
I mean, we know how good this is, but man, he made a whole world.
I mean, is it our nature? So, we talk about original sin. I don't know if that's just a Catholic thing. We won't get in the
No,
weeds
it's not
on.
just a Catholic thing.
Oh, okay. I mean, this is
I think it did kind of start with Augustine,
okay. So,
like many heresies.
oh gosh, but I'm just thinking it's in it's in our nature. We say that it's in our
Mhm.
nature to be tempted, to want to disobey. Like you have to be taught to do the right
Mhm.
thing. You have to be taught the difference between um, right and wrong. But I feel like was it always in our nature? Was FOMO always? Was it just
Maybe.
always in us? Is
Well,
that what free will
like I
is all
said last
about?
week, maybe God wanted us a broken heart. Maybe even though he started with innocence, he always knew that innocence wouldn't last it would always have to be forgiveness was what the kingdom was gonna be based on. You know what I
Ooh,
mean?
Todd, I've just had a huge light bulb moment.
I saw it. No, I'm just kidding, go ahead.
Well, it's interesting because, I mean, because 'cause you're talking about innocence. Innocence can't last. Like, it's
Mhm.
impossible, especially now, especially in our fallen world. But forgiveness lasts. Redemption is eternal. And
Yeah. Forgiveness is the way back,
right.
and
Mm,
that they can base kind of a relationship on.
yeah.
Um,
Mm,
creation, he also let's see here. I got so many little notes written all
okay.
over here.
Share
I
your
think
little
I
note.
think it's that, but he basically got them he got Eve to buy into, and maybe Adam too, that
Mhm,
God was holding out on him somehow.
mhm.
I mean, that's kind of the serpent's whole thing,
Right,
is God's holding out on you.
right.
If only you knew what's
What
in
I
you.
yeah, like,
If only you
I'm
knew what you were capable of,
mhm.
Tony Evans or whatever.
Allow me to illuminate. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Mhm.
it's in you. Joel Osteen, right? Big smiles. If only we knew all of the good that's in us. I don't know, maybe that's not fair to Joel Osteen, but, I think that that's what
There's a
the
fine line, right? There's a fine
yeah,
line between saying we've been made in God's image and not saying that we're divine. Like,
yeah,
there's a fine line.
but I do think the devil was telling him, "Listen,
Mhm,
the way to become a god lies this way."
mhm,
God and then Christ comes and says, "The way to become a son of God is through me.
mhm,
It's through forgiveness. It's through sacrifice. It's through loving the unlovable. It's through washing the feet of those who've hurt you.
mhm.
Forgiving the unforgivable." That's how
Yep.
that's how we get there. And it starts with God doing that in us. Um, so I also think it's interesting because you that they started they so it all of a sudden their eyes are open. They realize everything that's going on. So the state of grace has given them freedom in a way
Yeah.
that they're going to step out of. And
Right.
now they're recovered. See, God isn't covering their nakedness per se. They got to do it on their own, is what they think. And they start sewing fig, but they can't even do that. The first thing they try to do is just a failure. And God's like, listen, even on his way out, he's cursing them and he's whatever. I gotta make you some clothes. We gotta redo this.
Yeah, is that
Yeah.
is that's not just this translation, right?
No,
That's
it's
so
not.
interesting.
It's
He
I
makes
think
them
the
clothes.
beginning of sacrifice, of a blood sacrifice as a covering. It's the beginning of that
Oh,
metaphor. That's the first time
is it?
we see God kill something to cover their sins or their nakedness, their shame,
Wow.
if you wanna think of it that
Is
way.
this obvious to everyone but me? I've never thought of
Yes,
that that way.
everybody no, I'm just kidding.
I had no idea.
No, I'm kidding.
Just never thought about that.
Yeah, I don't know, but I think but that's what it
But
is.
when it said leather, I was like, "Oh,
It's also the first time you start to see, I think, death in
right,
creation.
right."
That you start to see not only animals and man, man killing animals, eating animals, all those things,
Mhm,
but probably animals killing animals. It's just you start to what's introduced
mhm.
is when God goes through it in what maybe I should go in a little bit more
Okay,
linear fashion, but God
okay.
they hid from God, so they recognize their nakedness and they
Right.
hide, and we see right away that everything's changed in this relation it was all about relationship before. You don't hide from somebody that you're in close relationship with.
Right.
And and they're walking with God and they're delighting in God and they're loving God, but as soon as they step out on their own, they step away from that relationship and suddenly they're hiding
Mhm,
from the person that made them and that and has given them everything. Suddenly they're hiding because they're ashamed and they can't they know what they've done.
mhm,
Maybe they don't know exactly what it's gonna mean yet, but they got a feeling it's bad. They got you know what I mean?
mhm,
When they're first opened up and then they're like, "Whoa, what are we gonna do now?" And I just think that God calling to them, like, this is that part of God as a character in his own story. This is that part of Jesus where we think, well, Jesus is God, he knows everything. Well, then why does he ask and stop when he's on his way to Jairus' house when the woman with the bleeding issue touches him and the power comes out of him and he takes all this time to be like, who touched me? And his disciples are like, what are you talking about? Who touched you?
Mhm.
Did he really mean that? Did he know? Was he just putting on a show? I don't think so. I think that God and Christ in the story accept certain limitations. When Christ puts on flesh, he accepts certain limitations. And there's a part of him that can access maybe that kind of like overarching deity.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of the times he kind of operates but in a veil beneath that. Do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
He's not
Right.
accessing that constantly. And I think
Right.
that's the same with
He's
God here. I think
fully
God's like, what's going on? We think, oh, God already knew what was going on. Because so many people like to ruin stories because they don't understand stories.
Well,
That's not the story.
I was gonna ask, don't you think God must have known, like, the second this happened? He
I
had to
don't
have
know.
known. I think he
Whether
knew.
whether he knew or not,
I think he's
the
asking to
God
hear them
as
explain
presented in as a
themselves.
character in this story, the God who's walking with them in the garden
Mhm.
acts like he doesn't.
Mm.
And he lets them reveal it to him.
Right.
You
But
know what I
I
mean?
think it's him I think he wants to hear them, like, explain, explain themselves. That's what I think.
Maybe. It's
Um,
just not told that way. It's told
yeah,
like, "Who told you were Nate?" Like, it's like God's asking questions.
right.
Does he has God
That's kind
never
of
asked a
interesting.
question he didn't know the answer to?
No, but that's kind of interesting.
Like, and that's where I think that
He's
difference comes of
So you're
being
you're saying he's almost like Jesus in the garden with
I
them.
think so, yeah, I think well, listen, God,
I mean,
I
yeah.
guess if you want us to go strict Trinitarian,
Yeah.
God the Father's a spirit.
Mhm,
Specifically talks about that.
mhm.
He's not a human, but Jesus is a human.
Right.
And I think that Jesus once creation becomes he obviously the incarnation is the point at which he really but
Mhm.
but I think he portrays the human side of God. I think when he's walking in the garden, he's wearing
Yeah,
a body, and I
yeah.
think he looks just like Jesus.
Okay, I
That's
mean,
because
it
I
makes
think he's
sense.
Jesus. You know what
It
I
makes
mean?
sense. Why would he look like a different
Right.
man, I guess, but
I think it's Jesus, and I think he's
yeah.
walking in the garden with him. And
I
I
hope
think when
people
he's like,
enjoy I hope people enjoy hearing us, like, kind of speculate about these things because 'cause I'm really curious about these things. When we
well,
read
I
this
think I
stuff,
think
I
they're all
love
good
thinking about this.
questions, you know? Like, it's fair to look at the
Ah,
story. What I don't like, and listen, I don't like it when preachers or whoever,
mhm.
I don't like it when they start with, well, this is the story, but God knew it all along, and God was just kind of this was not really God, he didn't really mean what he said, and this, that, and the other. I just think you're undermining the point of the story.
Yeah.
I think God told the story the way he told it on purpose.
Mhm.
And he doesn't want us coming over the top to be like, "Oh, he didn't really mean that. He already knew." I think he's expressing emotions. What are the emotions of God in this? God's in relation, and this relationship with the pinnacle of all creation is fractured.
Right.
And God's upset in the same way that you'd
Oh,
be
yeah.
upset when somebody breaks up with you for 9 months or whatever, you know what I mean?
Right.
Or
Yeah.
when someone dies, it's horrible, but
Mhm.
God's upset, he's hurt,
Right.
and he's looking at him and he's like, "Why are you hiding from me?
Right.
Who told you this?" And then instantly blame shifting starts because first thing
Right.
they
Oh,
do
yeah.
admit it. Both of them will say, "I did eat," but it was that woman, that chick that you made. You took my rib and made her, and
Yep.
she gave it to me, and she's hot. And how could I not eat it? And
He knew, right? Like, she didn't trick him and not tell him where the fruit was from, right? This is something I heard
I don't
someone
think so. I
talking
think
about
he
one
knew.
time.
Yeah,
He knew. She's like, and I wonder
the classic thing to say that people like theologians have always said,
okay.
or pastors or whatever, is that Eve was deceived. Adam chose. Adam knew what he was choosing. Eve
Oh.
was deceived in that moment.
Well, even if she was deceived, she was still disobedient.
True.
I
100%.
mean I think that it's the enemy's tactic to deceive us always.
It is.
So,
And to some extent, you can say Adam chose, but to some extent, Adam was deceived too,
well,
I think.
sure. Yeah. I mean, obviously, it wasn't instantaneous for her because she turned and offered it to him, it must
But
have then
it's funny how Adam points to Eve and Eve points to the serpent, and then God turns to the serpent, and the serpent's just like, like
Yep.
the guy with the wrench, choke.
Gotcha. Yeah, I gotcha.
You know what I mean? And then
Mhm,
God goes about into the curse and what the curse is going to mean.
mhm.
What their life on earth and all of our lives on earth, everybody
Right.
that all their kids that come after them, everybody, all the offspring, this is how it's going to be. So
Mhm,
he starts with the serpent and he says, because you've done this, you're cursed. You're cursed beyond all cattle, wild animals, cursed to slink on your belly and eat dirt all your life. I'm declaring war between you and the woman, between your offspring and hers. He'll wound your head, you'll wound his heel. Um, Obviously, there's a little bit of a literal physical sense to this with a snake, but I think most of it is symbolic of what's going on between man and Satan, like for the
mhm.
rest of the story. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I understand that humans don't like snakes and whatever. I don't think that's the primary point. Personally, you know what I
No,
mean?
no, I
When he
mean,
says he's declaring war,
yeah.
he's not declaring war between man and snakes. I don't think. Although there is a point to which I think that creation was created in peace. Like 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 peace reigned over creation. And
Mhm,
I think that when God declares war, all of creation is moving from peace to war. It doesn't matter how many times Pope Leo tells us we shouldn't go to war.
mhm,
We're in a state of this entire thing is a state of war. Now, as a church, you're part of the spiritual warfare, and it says that we fight against princes and powers and spirits in high places, things like that. Like we're still at war.
mhm.
We're always at war. We're on a wartime footing,
Yep,
and any peace that we get,
mhm.
I think that explains why peace is kind of fleeting in our
Okay.
world.
Mhm.
Why it seems like it doesn't quite matter if we could just get here, we think, or if we could just deal with Iran, if
Oh my
Iran would
gosh.
just come around,
Mhm,
we could finally have some peace. I don't that never seems to work out that way. We seem to move from
mhm.
a world dominated by the aggressive use of force, and
Right.
that seems to be the world we live in.
Mhm,
And that doesn't matter whether it's man to animals, doesn't matter if it's man to man. We're going to see that in the very next chapter with Cain and Abel, that
mhm.
violence starts right away.
Yeah.
Violence is another way to say it, but war and violence
Mhm,
become become the world of mankind. Does
mhm.
that make sense?
Yep,
And if it's not,
completely.
if it's if it's not a cold war between America and the Soviet Union, then it's a cold war in your own house between a husband and a wife that can't get along. But you
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all over all
Mhm.
the time.
It's between siblings, it's between neighbors, yeah. It's goes on and on.
Yeah. There's only one way to peace,
Mhm.
through the Prince of Peace, right? I think that's
Yep.
what's going on. Then
Mhm.
he tells the woman, "I'll multiply your pains in childbirth. You'll give birth to your babies in pain. You'll want to please your husband, but he'll lord it over you." That I thought I think that
Interesting,
whole thing is
interesting.
it's all relational. I think it does show that a woman's um primary drive is towards children,
Mhm,
family, nesting, nurturing.
mhm,
That's what a woman is just it's baked right in,
mhm.
right?
Right,
And God says, prosper, fill the earth, have kids. So you're gonna want to do this.
right,
You were gonna do it anyway before, but now it's gonna be way harder. It's
right,
just gonna suck. But as bad as it sucks, you're still gonna want to do it over and over again. Because
right.
these you know what I mean?
Mhm.
And
Well yeah,
and
go
then
ahead.
the husband lording it over, I think, is just that's a it's like relational. I think it's you see relationships that are gonna struggle from here
Okay, I
on
was
out.
gonna say,
It's
you
not
think it's just a a prediction of the discord, but of the potential, challenge it will be to maintain that
yeah,
the
and what
peace in that
life's gonna look
relationship?
like. I mean, women have
Mhm.
certainly been, um, lorded over throughout all of human history, at
Mhm.
varying times worse than others. But, the women have been yeah,
You
it's been
know,
difficult.
that's interesting. Do you think that they were do you think that Adam and Eve were more equal partners before
Yes, I do.
this?
Mhm. In fact, I'll give it to you on the other bookend.
Yeah.
I think what fixes this
Yep.
is the gospel and the church, and I
Mhm.
think as you read all through Paul's epistles,
Mhm.
it's in the church that you find there's not man or woman, there's not Jew or Greek. We put away racism, we put away sexism, the patriarchy, the
Mhm.
whole thing. That's all the ground's all level at the foot of the cross, but that's the only place. In the natural world, it doesn't work that way.
Right.
But what fixes this is the church. What fixes this is again what fixes everything. It's Christ.
Mhm.
It's the tree of life.
Yeah.
It's that forgiveness. It's that sacrifice. And that mends men and women back together, I think. You know what I mean? I think
Interesting.
in the church is where it's where you find that. One of the reasons I don't like the personally. Now listen,
Mhm.
if people were to ask me how I feel about women pastors, my answer is generally I don't like pastors anyway. So I don't care whether they're men or women.
Except Pastor Daryl.
Yeah, like
Hi, Daryl.
but the whole thing I don't like the whole hierarchy get up to begin with. But I
Okay.
think that within ministry, within a body,
Mhm.
within the body of Christ,
Mhm.
women have every bit as much access to Jesus, as much access to ministry, as much
Mhm.
access to everything as men do. There's
Yeah.
not men or women in that kind of scenario. Um, and to the extent that institutions want to reintroduce it, I think they're wrong. Well, it's just me. But that's
They wanna reintroduce what?
a division between men and women,
Oh,
a
gotcha.
lording over even within
Okay.
the church.
Mhm.
I don't think it's good. I don't think it's right
Right.
personally.
Okay.
So
Oh,
whatever enmity there is between the sexes
mhm.
found its I think found
Interesting.
its beginnings right here. I think you're right. I don't think it was there before. I think Adam and Eve were equal, like co-equal helpers, stewards,
Mhm.
gardeners, whatever you want to think of it.
Right.
They were just they were two sides of the same coin. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
that's how they were. And and then the fall fractured that. And we don't get back to it until we get Christ. And then within the church, we make our way back to the garden. I think was it Darrow who said that when he was quoting Joni Mitchell last week? I thought that was good. I should find that. He
What, he
said,
was quoting Joni
hold on,
Mitchell?
I'll
I don't
find Pastor
remember that.
Darrell's text. I thought it was pretty good.
Oh,
I
okay.
just got to find it.
Oh!
Where is it?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I'm talking about now, don't you? You
Um,
remember?
when, yeah, you're talking about Pastor Daryl?
Yeah. What he
He had
said when
yeah.
I asked him for his
Mhm.
for his kind of take
Yes.
on what we were reading about, and he said, um, all of creation outside the garden is subject to evil. And he says the rest of the book is summarily, concisely put by Joni Mitchell. We are stardust. We are golden. We're a billion-year-old carbon, and we've got to get ourselves back to the garden. I thought that I just like
Yeah.
that because I do think I think
Mhm.
Christ is bringing us back. He's bringing us back to the garden. It's not going to look exactly the same
Right.
because again, it's going to be founded on forgiveness, not on innocence, and that's a durable, that's an eternal foundation,
Right.
right? Maybe innocence can't isn't eternal per se. I don't know. Because God, I guess, isn't innocent in that way. I mean, God knows good and evil, obviously.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not that
Well,
he's ever committed evil, but he
mhm.
knows.
And if, and here's the thing, the reason innocence can't be I don't believe innocence can be eternal is because you talked last week about how God needed to give us a way out.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're like a prisoner. Adam and Eve would be prisoners if they didn't have another option. And if if there's another option that is away from God, well, that's going to be away from purity, away from the innocence. You're going to know about evil,
Yeah.
not just God's love and his grace. So anything outside of just, being in that grace, no other options, no free will. Um, it's not how God wanted it, but if as soon as you introduce choices, free will, there has to be a loss of innocence to
Yeah.
achieve that. Hmm.
No, I think you're right. And then God, so to women,
Mhm.
and mind you, I've got 4 daughters, so I've had them throw up in my face. Well, it's not Eve ate the apple. Why do I feel like this? You know what I mean? I'm just telling you that I've heard that way more than once.
Oh, because 'cause they're going through stuff?
But I
Yeah.
make this point,
Yep.
and I say, if you read what he tells man his life is gonna be like,
Mhm.
that's an everyday deal. We're not talking once every 28 days, honey. We're not talking when you
Yeah.
have a baby.
No, you're
But
absolutely
to be
right.
fair, the woman
Yeah.
partakes in this part of the curse too, to an
Yeah.
extent, you know what I mean?
Right.
And he told the man, "Because you listened to your wife and ate from the tree that
Mhm.
I commanded you not to eat from,
Yeah.
don't eat from this tree. The very ground is cursed because of you. Getting food from the ground will be as painful as having babies is for your wife." So it'd be like if you're having babies every day, because every single day you go out to make a living.
Mhm.
This world and this ground that used to work with you everywhere you turn is now gonna work against you everywhere you turn.
Mhm.
It'll be as painful as having babies for your wife. You'll be working in pain your whole life long. The ground will sprout thorns and weeds. You'll get your food the hard way, planting and tilling and harvesting, sweating in the fields from dawn to dusk until you return to that ground yourself, dead and buried.
Mhm.
You started out as dirt, you'll end up as dirt. And you could put in the middle there, and you're going to spend your whole life working in the dirt.
Right.
That's kind of what he says before
Yeah.
that.
From dawn to dusk. Oof.
So it you'll end up dirt. Now,
Mhm.
I will say again, even
Uh-huh.
call it an old saw that I come to once in a while, that he doesn't say you'll end up as a roasted marshmallow for
Right.
eternity.
Right. He does not
Anyway,
you're right.
just
He
like
does
I like to
not.
point that out
He
once in a
basically
while.
says life not to minimize it, but he says life's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
Now life is going to be hard.
Mhm.
But you're right, he doesn't say and he
And
says
at the end of
there's
it
death at
is
the
death.
end.
Yeah, it's just
Right. But not damnation. He doesn't talk about damnation.
it doesn't talk about for all eternity the saints of God are gonna roast s'mores over you, like Augustine seemed to think.
Thank goodness.
Thank you, Augustine, for all your compassion. Anyway.
As he licks his fingers at his marshmallow stickies.
I love it. I love the smell of burning man
Oh
flesh.
my gosh. Terrible.
No. Anyway, that's just an aside, guys.
Mhm.
Um,
You have to listen to more episodes to hear Todd and I
if you
talk
listen to the
about
first one, you'll hear us talk about
hell
conditional
or
immortality and things, and then, yeah, we
okay.
do have somewhere we've talked about hell and things too. So, um, and then the man known as Adam named his wife Eve because she was the mother of all living. Now that one's gonna bother you going forward because it kind of makes it sound like Eve's the mother of everybody.
Yeah. Yeah,
Um,
I
I don't
know.
know.
It's 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 a confusing matter for me, but we'll get to it.
We'll get to it
We'll
eventually. And
get
then
to it when the world starts getting populated. We'll get to it.
God made leather clothing for Adam and his wife and dressed them.
Mhm.
So he's still taking care of them, even on the way out. And that's my point is he's putting that picture right at the front end, which is it's God who can cover our nakedness and cover our shame, but he does it through death and he does it by the shedding of blood,
Yeah.
and that's the cross.
I just never
That's
thought of that.
Christ.
So interesting. Yeah. Wow.
God said, "The man has become like one of us, capable of knowing everything ranging from good to evil. What if he now should reach out and take fruit from the tree of life and eat and live forever?" So it does seem like if he ate from the tree of life, even fallen, he would live forever.
Yep. But
And that's why God
he's like,
says,
"Nope."
"I'm not doing it this way. I want
Mhm.
you forever, but I don't want you like this forever." I want-
Right. I'm still
so
mad at you.
I got a better way to do this.
You screwed it up. Mhm.
I'll do the covering. And then so God expelled them from the Garden of Eden, sent them to work the ground, the same dirt out of which they'd been made. I just there's something significant about that. I don't even
Mhm.
know exactly what it is, but that it's the same dirt. You're working like the same dirt out of which you've been made. I think what that sounds like is it sounds frustrating. It sounds like there's a certain frustration just laid right in. Like,
Mhm.
do you know what I mean?
You
How
know that
far are you ever gonna get when you're made of dirt and you're working in dirt and you end up as dirt? What are we,
right.
you know what I mean?
You know what it makes me think of? Because he said, you started out as dirt, you'll end up as dirt. So
Mhm.
now that this fracture has occurred, now death has been introduced to their world. And I feel like it's almost like it's like a symbol of death.
It is, yeah.
Like they are now going into this world that contains death. And it's like they're going right out on the same dirt. That's kind of what it
Yeah.
makes me think of.
You get to pick your own way. You get to choose what you do. You get to call your own shots,
Yep.
but there will be a never-ending futility about it no matter how much you achieve. And we see
Mhm.
that still
Mhm.
today. I mean, you see that with doesn't matter if you have $6 billion, your life can still be empty.
Mhm.
You're still just dirt, working with dirt, ending up as dirt.
Mhm.
And we spend all of our life trying to feel like that's not true. I don't, you know
I
what I
know,
mean?
we really do. Yeah,
'Cause
we do.
but as much as we work at it,
Mhm.
I feel like we still know. There's still a certain hollowness to things, even the successes that we find in the achievements that we have,
Mhm.
if they're not found in Christ,
Right.
through Christ, then there's just a certain hollowness to it all.
Mhm.
It doesn't it doesn't feel like you thought it would,
Yeah.
you know? That fruit doesn't man, I thought it'd be better. I thought that fruit would be I thought that taste would last a little longer.
Yeah.
I didn't know what the hangover was gonna be like.
Right.
You know what I
Anyone
mean?
and you know what? Anyone listening who in sometime in your life has you've been tempted, like, you made the joke about
Mhm.
chicks hot,
Yeah,
anyone who has been tempted and has given into that temptation knows that this is exactly how it feels afterwards. You're just like, "Well, that just wasn't worth that at all."
it's a
It wasn't.
chasing of the wind.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Mhm.
Ecclesiastes, maybe that's in
Oh, does
that
it say
life
that in
it's
there?
a chasing of the wind.
Oh,
We just it
I love
all of
that. I
life
wanna use that.
all life is smoke. Gaining wealth, love, all this stuff, it's all
Mhm.
smoke. It all vanishes as quick as it appears. Is
Hmm.
kind of that's what you get. Solomon wrote Ecclesiastes, and he's writing kind of a
I
treatise
didn't know that.
of life looked at
Mhm.
from a mortal perspective. Because then he ends with,
Oh.
in the end, there's only one thing you can count on: fear God and follow him, trust him, or whatever.
Mhm.
Everything else is smoke. Essentially, is kind of what
Wow.
that's the whole point of Ecclesiastes. So
That's cool.
anyway, I think we did pretty good.
So can we
Now we don't
before
have to be
we
done. Go after it, Carrie. We just hit
well,
an hour, and I thought, oh, I got to
okay,
get Carrie out
I
of here.
I just wanna know about the guarding of the garden.
Oh yeah, the cherubims.
Well, yeah, he threw them out of the garden and stationed angel cherubim and a revolving sword of fire? Like, what is
Sounds
that?
like
This
it.
is so
Well,
interesting. This is interesting imagery, granted, this is a translation.
I think the one thing you would say is that the Garden of Eden didn't disappear.
Mhm.
It doesn't look like.
Okay.
We have to assume that whatever the Garden of Eden is,
Mhm.
it's still the Garden of Eden. It's still there. These cherubims are still there, and the sword of fire is still there. I think
Mhm.
we can't get there on our own, and the tree of life is still there, and there's only one way to it, which is through Jesus, not back through Eden. Do you know what I
Mhm.
mean?
Mhm.
I guess, but yeah, it is interesting because it's a weird idea. I mean, how do
Mhm.
you fit that in?
I
Where do
know.
we go?
It was kind of a surprising, image for me at the end of this story.
How does a Garden of Eden and a Tree of Life fit in with a globe spinning through the cosmos at like 500,000 miles an hour?
Mhm.
You know what I mean? These are the things that you say.
Right.
That doesn't well, I don't know. I don't know is the answer.
Yeah.
But to me, it looks like we'll know at some point, and I think the garden will still be. I think we'll experience the Garden
You think
of
so?
Eden. I do. and that will be, and maybe the rest of Earth will be recreated. Maybe when it says there'll be a new heavens and a new earth, that doesn't exactly, maybe that doesn't apply to Eden. Maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe God recreates Eden. We do get a new Jerusalem,
Okay.
and it talks in Revelation about, I may not be able to find it quick enough, but I forgot that last week when we were talking about the tree of life.
Yeah.
It talks about in the New Jerusalem toward the end of Revelation, talks about the tree of life in heaven, or whatever you would want to think of it. Let me see if I can find it quick before
Okay.
we roll out here.
I'm
Another
looking
throne,
up a
second
I'm looking
death.
up a very, like, scratch the surface AI Google AI overview
Grok.
of this. I know I should have asked Grok. Sorry. I'll ask Grok later.
Here it is. Here it is.
Okay.
Then the angel, this is Revelation 22, guys. Then the angel showed me
Okay.
water of life river, crystal bright. It flowed from the throne of God and the Lamb right down the middle of the street. Remember, we had rivers flowing into Eden. Remember,
Oh,
a
right.
river flowed into Eden and then split up
Yeah.
into four. Well,
The
here
book
we've got a river flowing
named him. Mhm.
out of the throne of God right down the middle of the street. And he, the tree of life was planted on each side of the river, producing 12 kinds of fruit, a ripe fruit each month. The leaves of the tree are for healing the nations. Never again will anything be cursed. The throne of God and of the Lamb is at the center. His servants will offer God's service, worshiping. They'll look on his face, their foreheads mirroring God. Never again will there be any night. No one will need lamplight or sunlight. The shining of God, the Master, is all the light anyone needs.
Hmm.
And they will rule with him age after age after age.
Hmm.
That, I didn't remember it last week when I was talking about the fruit of life. That was where I got the idea of the monthly thing,
Oh.
because it says there's a fruit for every month.
Okay.
Eh,
Interesting.
well, you get these numbers that mean things in the Bible. So the New
Mhm.
Jerusalem has 12 gates, and the gates are made out of precious stone. And you have the 12 apostles, and you have the 12 tribes of
The
Israel,
tribes. Okay.
and so all of this is kind of tying together.
Interesting.
And but again, I think it's that same picture of, both with the river and
Mhm.
with the tree of life, of a continual feeding and a continual drinking, a continual eating, a continual drinking, as we enter into the life of God, into immortality through Christ, day after day after week after month,
Okay.
age after age after age. Make sense?
Sure. You feel like those symbolic numbers indicate ongoing, like a,
R-
year
Repeated, yeah,
year
I do.
round, yeah, continual kind of
And I think it
sustenance.
bookends. I think if you look at the tree of life in Genesis and the tree of life in Revelation, they bookend each other,
Mhm.
and they're both find their culmination in Christ in the
Interesting.
cross, right in the center of the
Wow.
story. That's what I
Mm.
think, as we're looking at an overarching view of the
Mhm.
story. And then as we go from here, we're gonna get into the dirt of it.
Yeah.
We're gonna start working
The
with
dirt.
dirt, in dirt.
Oh,
We're gonna see people
the
end up
dirt
like dirt.
the dirt gets dirty fast.
It gets messy. Things get
Yeah.
messy fast.
Yep.
But I think we're gonna find that God's in the mess the whole way.
Yeah.
If we had time, and eventually maybe we will, to go through the whole
Mhm.
Bible on Beers with Jesus, but we'll definitely find it in Genesis. We found it in Mark. We
Yeah.
found it in Acts. Every single book we study, you're gonna find God's in the mess the whole way.
Yeah.
This was always God's plan, and he's bringing us back to the garden. Fair?
Yeah. I
What do
hope
you think,
so.
Carrie?
I
That's
hope he is.
that's a faith. And the other thing is that I'll just throw out there
Mhm.
is, this just kind of struck me. Even for Adam and Eve, even in innocence,
Yeah.
remaining in Eden required faith. It's always been faith.
Okay.
It required faith to remain in Eden. Faith that God was telling the truth.
Mhm.
Faith that what God said he meant, and that God was going to continually feed them, continue to take care of them,
Mhm.
that they could depend on him.
Right.
When they stepped outside of faith, like with Peter when he's out on the walking towards Jesus on the water, and he takes his eyes off of Jesus and starts looking at the waves, then he starts to sink. And that's the knowledge of good and evil. That's the choice they made to
Mhm.
go that way. and they were always gonna sink that way.
Right. They had to their faith had to be that God was truth,
Right.
and they were deceived by the serpent. The
Yep.
serpent, yeah, their faith wavered.
What the serpent brought into Eden
Mhm.
was doubt.
Yes.
Doubt enters the garden, and
Mhm.
suddenly doubt is undermining faith.
Mhm.
No different than our own lives.
Yeah,
No
really.
different than our own marriages, than our own
Way more.
relationships. That's the thing, you see it all over. We
Mhm.
can be like, "Well, if Eve hadn't eaten the apple, think how much better things would have been made." But every day we make the same choice. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yep.
Don't pawn it off on Adam and Eve. Let's all own our own.
Yeah.
But we all make the same choice, and the path, the story, the way back is the same, and we're gonna find that throughout, and God's gonna start to work with man. We're gonna see Cain and Abel, and it gets fun from here. So I think we've dealt with the
Yeah.
big stuff that's the real foundational, and
Mhm.
then from here, we're just gonna start digging into the story of humanity, of human history, basically.
Right.
See how it goes, see how the choice worked out, deciding to go their own way, right?
Ta-da! Here we are. Yeah, it's good.
All right, guys. Thank you for joining us today,
Yes, thank you
sticking
so
with
much.
us. Come back next week. Tuesdays, Wildly Opinionated News Hour, where we just kind of go through the news of the day.
Mhm.
Although we've been mixing in some other stuff. We had that good clip of an interview by Ben Sass this week.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was really
Definitely
good.
give it a shot. It's not just news.
I
It's
say
kind of
it's
like
news,
good
and it is
stuff.
our news
Yeah,
political end, and we have fun with
definitely.
it. But we definitely mix in some faith stuff even there.
Yeah, it's pretty
Um,
good.
and then
Yeah.
beers is always on Wednesdays. So and visit
Thanks for joining
toddsworld.net. You
us.
can find all the books and, get
Books
Leaves
and
Blue Way, maybe start with there.
and merch. Like I'm wearing the
Oh, look at Carrie's
classic.
got the Beers with Jesus merch on. Yeah, it's great. There's a
Classic.
bunch of merch on there too.
Oops, there we go. I love this one. You still have this?
Yes.
Yeah, I love this shirt.
How could we get rid of the Beers with Jesus logo shirt? I
I
love it.
know that the double fisting girl with the
Yeah,
braids. I love it
it's
so
perfect.
much.
All right,
Thanks,
guys, thanks
Todd.
for joining us. We will catch you next week. Thanks,
Yeah.
Carrie.
Bye.